Thanks for tuning into Heavy, where we bring you the latest interviews with local, national and international artists. Today's victim is...
Hello everybody, my name is Titan Fox. I'm the lead vocalist and guitarist of Hammer King. We do play royal heavy metal, whatever that means. Means that all the songs are about Thy Majesty the Hammer King, the most ruthless and yet gracious leader in the world. The message is clear. Whenever you get Hammer King to play for you, you will get a little piece of the kingdom. And the kingdom is a place where we live in sheer abundance. We have money, gold, food, naked women all the time. So whenever the king comes to your place, you will get a little bit of that kingdom. And once we own the entire world, you will live like we do in the kingdom.
That sounds fantastic, mate. Where do I sign up?
You're in, absolutely.
Beautiful, mate. So as you mentioned, Hammer King unleashed your fifth album, Kingdemonium, this Friday, August the 19th. So tell us a bit about the album from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it.
Absolutely. I mean, given the last 2 years that were very, very tricky for everybody, I guess, we couldn't play many shows for last year's Hammer King album. So we decided to carry on and create new music, because as a musician, you want to do music, in whatever form. So when Napalm get us the go in, I think it was late October, they said we could release an album for the summer festival season in 22, which should take place, and which they do. So we knew when we want to release an album for the summer festivals, we will have to deliver the finished product by very early March. So it was a short period of time, relatively. The interesting thing is, as it turned out, the short time led to us being practically very instinctive. So many people have pointed out that the album has got a very good spirit, and I compare it with what the bands did in the 80s. Because when you look at Judas Priest, Iron Maiden and Saxon and Judas Priest even had 2 albums in 1 year. So there wasn't much time. So they just followed and delivered whatever they had inside. And I think we did the same thing here. In a way, I mean, it was stressful. It was interesting. I hardly remember recording the album because it was so stuffed. I only knew I had to finish 1.5 or even 2 songs vocally every day, which was quite demanding. But in the end, if you go with the flow, it really made us deliver a very catchy and very heavy album, a little bit darker compared to our older albums, actually. So I would totally do that again.
And so far you've released the singles Invisible King and Pariah Is My Name from the album. So would you say that they're a good sonic representation of the album as a whole?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at Invisible King, it might be the one extreme that we have, and Pariah is the other extreme. I mean, Pariah is dark, Pariah is very heavy. Invisible King is what I personally would call the pop metal song, if you want so. Honestly, the women totally like Invisible King. They always tell me, which is a good thing. And so I think that's the 2 opposites on the album. We have maybe a bit more of the darker ones on that one. Therefore, we wanted to have Pariah as the first single to make sure this is the direction, the general direction that we cover on the album. And today, in just 5 hours, we will release the next and the last video, which will be Kingdemonium, and it will be a very dark video with acting and very graphic, no, not graphic, that's too much, but with dark scenes, actually. So the album is darker, and I think the 3 singles give a very good picture about the album.
And the press release makes mention of the self-curated fantasy world created by your music. Can you elaborate on that a bit for us?
Well, yeah. When we started playing with Hammer King, when we started doing this in 2015, everything happened by it's too early for English. I'm sorry. it happened by coincidence. That's the word. That's and we started playing this very traditional metal, which we hadn't done in many years before, and it seemed to entertain ourselves. We were smiling when we played it. Open chords, huge spaces for choruses. We didn't have that for many years in our older bands. And we started singing, and the word king popped up. So we looked at ourselves and said, well, it seems as if we're having something here. And we were looking for the proper king to be the namesake of the new band. And I think Dolph, the drummer, said, why don't we use Hammer King? I mean, a hammer is massive, and we checked it on the internet, and nobody used the name, which is interesting because it's actually so obvious. And so after a couple of days, we had 3 or 4 songs about this Hammer King, and we started unveiling the legend behind it, with the kingdom and all the people living in it, with the wars, the battles, the seafarings, and now with the chaos coming to the kingdom, with the pandemic, no, not the pandemic, the pandemonium situation hitting the kingdom, which the king will strike back in the end, of course. So we have a huge narrative that can be explored over the course of some more albums, actually.
Yeah, cool. So would you say that the albums are conceptually based, or do they just follow a common thread?
Yeah, common thread is the word. I mean, all the albums that we have are, I always say it's like a small book with stories in the same direction, but it's not a complete narrative. So it's not a concept album. I think we will never do one, because when I think of classic concept albums, there is so many where you think that the album would have been better if they wouldn't have to follow a narrative. I mean, Operation Mindcrime might be the exception, where everything is perfect musically, or maybe Dead Winter Dead from Sabotage. But if you even if you look at Pink Floyd's The Wall, I think sometimes the album musically loses steam because they follow the story, especially on the second album.
Yeah,
I think music has to come first, especially in heavy metal. You're not looking at the story and say, wow, what an album. You want to listen to it and then maybe read the lyrics after that.
very cool. And your music is epic on every scale, mate. So how difficult is it to create feelings of emotion and grandeur in your music?
Strangely, it's absolutely not difficult at all.
All right.
It seems that when we started playing with Hammer King, we all went back to what we initially listened to ourselves. So in a way, when somebody asked me, how do you write a song? And after all the years, I can only say, I really don't know. You just pick up the guitar and play anything. And when it's good, you stick to it. And then you keep developing the idea and follow the direction. And in a way, I mean, it's once you hear a riff, usually I hear the vocal melody for the verse. So that part is already there instantly. And coming up with a bridge is not a problem. Sometimes you have to tweak the chorus a little bit until it's really catchy or big enough. So that's the only part that we really need to work on, because in the end, the chorus is the most important part of the song. And we always say we want to have songs that everybody on a festival would get into, even if he doesn't know the band, which usually is the case, because when we play in front of 40,000 people this Saturday, I don't think that 40,000 people will know Hammer King. Probably will be 100 or whatever. So the good thing is you can reach many new listeners if they get into the music instantly, which we saw on Rock Hearts Festival a month ago. It was 25,000 people, and we had quite some people in front of the stage, and they really liked the show. But I'm very sure that most of them had seen us for the first time.
All right, that's cool. And as you said before, mate, like Hammer King started in Germany back in 2015. So what was the musical climate like back then that gave birth to the band? And where did you fit in back in the early days?
It's tricky for us because we come from a place where there is practically no scene at all. So if we would live in Dortmund, Düsseldorf, Cologne, or in Hamburg, that would be fantastic. But where we come from, it's tricky. I mean, when we started playing there, we had already been some of the more known people of that very smallish area. And when we did Hammer King, it was like everybody was raising the eyebrow and think, oh, that's interesting. They're doing something different now. It feels bigger than before. And so quickly, everybody knew about Hammer King because we had that special approach. I mean, the speeches I deliver on stage are a little provocative. And in the end, in the beginning, we claimed to be from Saint-Tropez in France. And I only spoke English in front of the German audience, and I had a faux French accent, which was really very pitiful. So it was different. It was different, and everybody understood that we're trying to create something here. And gladly, the whole thing started standing on its own legs, so to speak, in a couple of months or maybe a year or so. And we released the first album, and we ourselves sensed that the band felt very different from what we had done before. It felt better, actually, and bigger in a way. So coming from this place with practically no scene, the major goal was to play at different places. And gladly that happened. I mean, we played Belgium quite early on. We played Italy, and we played Holland, and so we went to Austria, which was fantastic because the Austrian people, they absolutely hailed us when we came there. So it was early on in the first year or 1.5 years. So when we came to Austria, we felt treated as a real band for the first time. So that really had a huge impact on us. Actually, it changed a lot. And afterwards, I think we started growing in a certain way. I mean,
and Kingdemonium comes out this Friday, August the 19th. So what do you got planned after that, mate? You got any shows planned?
yeah, gladly. The album is out on the 19th, and on the 20th we are playing the Summer Breeze Festival, which is the second largest in Germany.
Wow.
They expect 40,000 people. I mean, it's only natural that not all of the 40,000 people will be in front of one stage, because I think they have like 5 stages. But it's a gigantic amount of people that we can at least reach out to, and then probably attract as many new fans as possible. There will be a homecoming show in early September, just 2 weeks after the festival, where we are able to play many songs, which is not possible on the festivals, of course. So we're looking forward to that. And after that, there is another festival that's a new one. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. It's the first time that they do it. It's a one-day festival, which will be interesting, because on the one-day festivals, everybody is watching every band. That's helpful. And there's going to be club shows in October, November, and so on. So it's going to be, hopefully, everything will take place, and we're going to be busy.
Beautiful, mate. All right. Well, thanks very much for your time today. Kingdemonium is out August the 19th. And from what I've heard of it, she's an awesome album, mate. So thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. God bless the King. May the King bless Australia.
Always, mate. We hope to see you out here one day in the future.
Totally love to. I hope so.
Okay,
goodbye,
mate.
And thanks a lot.
No worries, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye. Same to you.